So now the mission statement is over, we'll go to the vision statement now. And this is initially what we had coming out of Hillview. And the one thing that Sean and I looked at when we read it over again was we really missed the cost savings portion of really what we need to be looking at in the vision. And let's see, Greg agreed, and I got an input from Jeff, which is on a separate slide, which I will also show. I threw together this vision shortly afterwards, and I'll just give you guys a quick second to look that over. I did email it to you in advance, but if you haven't had a chance to look, and for the folks at home, to have an opportunity to just read it real quick. But again, there's a couple things in there I probably would, Sean and I had a chance tonight to discuss it. I think the word intentionally probably should come out of there. The word and build upon, I would delete that now that I've had another chance to go back, and before that just put and identify all new source of revenue rather than build upon. And then the last thing on this one, I would particularly get rid of, just get rid of the and safety, and just really stick to the town-wide standard of services. But I like this particular vision. I think it reads a little bit better and focuses in on the way it reads, at least in my opinion, since I wrote it. I'm obviously a little biased. I think it just flows a little better. But let me show you Jeff's as well before you make a decision. And then this is the vision that Jeff would like to consider. Well, he talks about it being a document that we update every 3 years. And Jeff, I'll let you talk to it.
Yeah, as far as being concise and flowing and covering as much of the areas we possibly can, that we need to update it every 3 years, address quality of life issues for all its residents through manageable, that was an important word, manageable community development, supportive infrastructure, and implementation of the budgetary plan, the optimal efficiencies and revenues to support town service on an annual basis. I wanted to make sure that this would keep us on top of whoever the board is as we go forward, be able to stay on top of things. And I thought that was pretty concise and direct and to the point.
Well, I will just say one comment. I wouldn't agree with it every 3 years, because this document, it's a living document. It really should, if it's anything, it's annually, we're gonna be updating it. But we should be updating it as necessary. We shouldn't be structuring it into 3 years. This is not a 3-year document. This is a living document. It's always going. This vision is always
Right.
going.
Wasn't it the vision, it was every 5 years we're supposed to be doing this?
You have
Because-
a plan that always looks out 5 years.
5 years, yeah, that's why I was trying to shrink that, call it a compromise, if you may, shrink that in this approach. There are programs that we have that go out 3 years as well, and even beyond that, some ideas that we have. So I thought this kind of fit right in the middle of that, and we have to let some things mature and develop and progress, rather than every year. Sometimes we can kill a dead horse and just by constantly on top of
And
something.
so, see, the way I look at the vision statement is we're envisioning our vision of what is important to the town, where
Mhm.
we're going. I think the issue of updating it, whether it be, an annual review or a major update every 3 years or 5 years, right, is something tied in with our policies and procedures and
Mhm.
not our vision. Follow me?
Mhm.
In other words, the
Right.
strategic plan is here, now what are we gonna do about it, right, as part of a policy that we should adopt? And therefore, I don't think update every 3 years belongs in the vision statement at all.
At all, every year, does every year belong?
No.
No, okay,
No.
yeah,
It's
okay,
just a living document.
right,
It's a-
right.
I'm saying is that if we, in the process of adopting this document, right, as a living document, we may want, in the board's policies and procedures, define and make it a policy that we review it.
Mhm.
So the future boards will have that in the policy.
If, in the goal, the idea of having goals or dates that we specifically do things, it gives us a sense of direction. If we put in a generic that they will review, I think that our past experience shows that, well, we haven't reviewed programs every 5 years or what have you, and past boards have not even, because it's not in front of them, it doesn't come before them every 3 years, 5 years, whatever the case might be, then it falls to the side. I mean, this board right now is very proactive in it, but 5, 10 years from now, the board at that time may not.
But there were a number of policies the board has adopted over a period of time associated with reviewing water rates and things like that, setting the tax rate that's done on a specific calendar. Like, and I'm saying this needs to fall into that category, but it's not part of the vision statement.
I agree, it should be, if we're gonna do that, whether it be 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, and again, I would suggest annually, that through the policy, the board's policy, just say, you know, by such and such a date, the
Right.
board shall annually review its
Okay.
strategic plan. It just forces us, and it makes the administration, puts them on notice, again, board members change. What's important, the policy gives the administration the guidance to keep us on track as a board, regardless of the changes of the board. So it would be something in the tickle file for the administration, make sure that it's on the agenda for
Right.
September meeting, or the June meeting, whatever it's gonna be.
But did I understand, Bob, that even 1 year,
No, I wouldn't
Shouldn't
put
be
anything about timeframe.
by timeframe at all? Okay,
Goes into a policy.
okay.
Because we can
I'm
address
not
it.
saying,
Well, then what
I'm not
about-
trying to say we don't do this, I'm
Right.
just saying it doesn't belong in the vision
Right,
statement.
okay, no, I understand. Okay, but what about the balance of the,
I think in your approach, you've taken and kind of compressed the vision statement using these words, making it a little more general, but I don't have a major
I could
problem.
maybe Try to add, try to help us move on from this. Yeah, I did write an executive summary to try to take these PowerPoint slides and build us what I would call more of a lead-in to why we're doing all this. And in here, we can get more into how often we
right,
evaluate this. And in here, I do talk about it more than what Steve's saying, that annual approach and how we're looking at it. And I think if you read this and you go through it, I think it will, it kind of captures where you're going.
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily nail us into a 3-year
Right.
window. For example, if, you know, we have a catastrophic failure here in town hall, and all of a sudden we have to now build a new town hall, well, we have to change our strategic plan now.
right,
Things change, our
Right. I
timelines
agree.
change. And that's why you want it to be a fluid document.
right.
And you want us to be a fluid board, to be able to move where and focus on the things that are really impacting our town. And we're gonna talk a little bit more about this document at the end of this. And when we get into the objectives, I wanna point out something that also will tie into what you're saying. if
Okay,
that's
good.
All right? But getting back into the vision, we could stick to the original one we walked out of Hillview with that one little change. I threw in a suggestion one that you now have an opportunity to read through, and then Jeff has one as well. And if you guys think there's a combination of all, that's fine too.
I'm actually fine with what the original one, even without the cost savings, because I think the cost savings is redundant when it comes to increased efficiencies.
I don't,
The infrastructure and implementation of a budgetary plan with increased efficiencies, just necessarily with cost savings and increased efficiencies. Well, increased efficiencies are naturally going to result in cost savings. It's somewhat redundant. And I think we kicked it around a little bit that night, you know, so that,
Listen,
I don't-
by the way, Michael, this hasn't changed much from 2 years ago.
Yeah, I understand.
So it's been kicked around.
I think the
just
cost
wanna nail
savings,
it down.
I think the cost savings should be included. I don't necessarily correlate all the time that an efficiency results in a cost savings.
but it can't.
Yes, but
But it can, yeah.
it can, but it doesn't all the time result in a cost savings.
Again, you invest in the technology, it's gonna, capital outlay could be pretty huge, it's gonna be a while before. But, I mean, to me, it's somewhat redundant, and I think we
Yeah.
were pretty good in trying to minimize the number of words that were being utilized to get a message across. And people can read into this as much as they want or as little as they want. And I think we've done a pretty good job of capturing what we wanted to do and what we wanted to say. Just getting more expansive about things again, you know. And believe me, word is the next guy.
No.
In case you hadn't noticed.
I just still think it's important to have cost savings.
Sure.
I think we're missing something.
And when
by not
we
having
send
it.
this vision out into the public, and people see the words cost savings associated with also the efficiencies and new revenues, I think it just sends a good message. It also ties into what we've tried to do in the fact, and what that's all about. What this board agreed on what that charter was for the fact, that kind of ties right into it. I mean, it's just a nice tie. You take it out, I don't think you lose anything, but
Right.
I think it does add, but you don't lose that.
Well, efficiency incorporates cost savings,
I understand.
right? So I think that's where Steve is coming from in that regard.
It's not a deal breaker, it's something.
But I understand what you're saying.
But
It's,
it goes a long way to go back to the emission statement, change it, convincing them
Right.
the best interest in.
I think, Steve, that you can look at changes in efficiency, improvements in efficiency that doesn't necessarily result in cost savings, may result in better service or additional services. And a cost savings would be something that is related to the lights. Changing the lighting. Didn't
You
necessarily.
can see better than.
You can see better
See
now,
more
right?
clearly.
no. Maybe we should get
My
tied
vision
then.
is improved, yeah. But that's fine.
If I were to make any changes, I would, I think, in the interest of keeping it a short statement, Jeff did a pretty good job, short of my disagreement with putting a time frame in it. In his words, he kind of consolidated everything into fewer words. Leave it up to you guys. You know, I think at this point, my gut says, let's kind of stick with what we hashed out over the past, rather than try to
Yeah.
reinvent it
Right,
at this point.
I agree.
Up for that, Joe, if you want to throw in the cost savings part.
Okay, that's great. Let's move on.
Throw it in.
With no place.
All right. All we really did on this side is, I'm not sure, when we walked away, the big white piece of paper, we had actions for 2013 on the top, and
Right.
we just crossed that off, and really, these are objectives. The way I envision a strategic plan working is, you have your objectives, this is what we walked away thinking, these are our objectives, and then what you do, you take from this, and we build goals associated with each objective to accomplish it. That's sort of the structure of what we need to go and do. If anyone disagrees with me, please let me know.
Basically, under each one of these objectives, we need to put together a project plan with detail, saying these are the steps
Right.
and the calendar associated with achieving these goals.
That's
Or
correct.
objectives.
Was it, Mike, when we talked at the last meeting, were you going to include the housing, affordable housing, would it be on?
You know, that's,
Would it be on this,
I'm glad you caught that. No, I did not catch that.
No,
We
but
did
it-
put-
I think
we
it would
did
be
talk
on
about
this-
it.
Right.
That's
I
right,
think
that
it
would
should
go
be
on
on.
here.
I think it would go on there, affordable housing, and just another subject matter that we need to look at to, what we said was transportation. As we have,
And, yes.
you know, we're solely lacking in
I
transportation.
know we talked about transportation, I think we actually have it covered coming up in one of our weaknesses possibly. But I'm not sure if we actually had an
We do, have a
objective.
lack of public transportation is a weakness.
Right, but do we have an objective of how we wanna, fix that, or how we successfully get over that hurdle?
I would put it on there. I think that's something that we're gonna have to face, maybe not next year or the year after, but
Okay.
it's,
It's easy to put on, absolutely. Okay, I'll add those two items.
and I think if we look at it from the point of view of the weaknesses that we've identified, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
We should
if we wanna
somehow
fix
or other-
those, we should really start to add them to the
Yeah.
list.
Yeah, we should just give a little more thought to putting some meat to the transportation. What does that mean? We're talking bringing in railway system, bringing MBTA
I
to the
think
town.
it's something that we have to have a discussion of
Yeah.
at some point.
So it's all
We
these.
don't need an
items
answer
we
today, but we probably should be thinking about the meat later on. Jeff did add this last one in, but Jeff, I have to tell you, I wasn't 100% sure